husband wants to open up our marriage, but just for him. We've been married 9 years, 2 kids, a boy and a girl. We met at a friend's barbecue and got married 2 years later. I always thought we were the boring, happy kind of couple. Date night every other Friday, same taco spot, same order. We were fine, more than fine. Then March happened. Out of nowhere, his drive went through the roof. I'm talking every single day, then twice a day. He started waking me up at 1 a.m. He set his alarm 40 minutes before the kids' alarm so we'd have time in the morning. He'd pull me down the hallway while the kids were glued to cartoons. At first I thought it was sweet, like we were 25 again. But I work too. I do school runs and packed lunches and laundry. I was running on fumes. Sometimes I just couldn't. And every time I said not tonight, he'd go quiet. Not angry, just this cold, disappointed silence that filled the whole house. I started to feel less like his wife and more like a chore he was scheduling. There were other changes too. He joined a fancier gym, bought new shirts, started keeping his phone face down with the sound off. He said it was a work thing. I believed him. I actually felt guilty that I couldn't keep up with my own husband. Then last week, he sat me down at the kitchen table after the kids went to bed. He had that voice he uses on work calls. Calm, prepared. He said we have a needs mismatch. He said his drive is much higher than mine, and that's nobody's fault, but it's not fair for him to go unsatisfied forever. So he had a solution. Open the marriage, but just for him. I actually laughed. I thought he was joking. He wasn't. I asked, so I could see other people too? And he said no. He said for him it would be meeting a need, but for me it would just be revenge. He said he can meet all of my needs, but I can't meet all of his. He said men can separate the physical from feelings, and I can't, so I'd only get hurt. He said all of this slowly, like he was explaining math to a child. When I pushed back, he said I was being selfish. He said a loving wife would want her husband to be happy. He said couples do this all the time, and it only goes wrong when the wife turns it into a big deal. So now I'm the problem. He even said he was being honest with me, and that most men would just cheat, like I should thank him for the courtesy. Then he said the part that made my stomach drop. He said, I already thought about how to do this fairly, and he listed rules. He'd use a separate app I'd never see. Hotels only, never our house. He'd pay for the rooms out of his gym money so it wouldn't show up in our budget. Nobody from our town. No questions from me, no details from him. Clean and simple, he said. Clean and simple. Nobody comes up with rules that detailed at the kitchen table. That's not an idea. That's a plan. And a plan like that takes months. I asked him straight out if he already had someone in mind. He looked at the table. He said it didn't matter until I agreed. I asked again. Same answer. It doesn't matter until you agree. I didn't sleep that night. I lay there next to him doing math in my head. March, the gym, the shirts, the phone. Words like needs, mismatch that he'd never once used in 9 years. Somebody taught him those words. And then one memory floated up. Back in March, he came home and mentioned just once that his office hired a new project manager to run the big software rollout. One sentence at dinner, then never again. Here's the thing about my husband. He narrates his office like a sitcom. I know about the guy who microwaves fish. I know his boss's golf handicap. I know which intern keeps breaking the printer. 9 years of stories about people who don't matter. But the one person he'd been working next to every single day on the biggest project of his career, silence. Total silence since March. I wasn't sure. I want to be honest about that. I had no proof, just a feeling with a timeline attached. So the next evening, after the kids were down, I played along. I told him I'd been thinking, and maybe he was right. And maybe we could try it his way. You should have seen his face. He lit up like a kid on Christmas morning. He grabbed my hands. He started talking fast about how this would fix everything, how lucky he was to have me. Then I said, okay, but I have one condition. He said, anything. Name it. I said, anyone except the new project manager at your office. I didn't have a name to give. I didn't need one. The room went completely still. He didn't say who. He didn't ask which project manager I meant. He didn't laugh and tell me I was being paranoid. Any innocent man would have done one of those 3 things. Instead, his face just drained. He let go of my hands. He sat down in the chair, like his legs stopped working, and he stared at the floor for the longest 30 seconds of my life. Then he said, it was only supposed to be one time.